Thank you so much for coming to listen to Team 84's Watermelon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Trevin Pro, and we are joined by.
Typical thieves.
We
We
have some very fun topics to discuss today, including something to stop what just happened.
we are launching a new product, possibly called Let Me Talk. So, sales pitch, quick guys. What do you want to do about talking over each other when you're recording or anything similar? That's what we're aiming to solve, actually.
It is not a high tech product, and it is an early beta, still not working too beautifully, especially with the fact that you have to work your mind around it. Uh, there's going to be some interruptions both from users and the device itself, technology. A little tough to understand when pauses are working or when they're not. It's all very much going to involve how you talk, when you talk, or how this all just works out in the end.
So, when you're talking, it gives you a button that says "Let me talk," which will tell anyone else that you want to talk during a segment of recording or anything else similar. And it's a closed beta, however, it's still in development. And the idea is it's gonna give you a let me talk button that you can then someone else can just request to speak. And once someone else requests to speak, you can just hand over the microphone. That's at least the idea for the finished product.
There will be developments to add stuff like timers, hopefully, maybe some way to give it up early, or just have like an done button to let it go to the next person so they know for sure when you're done. But it's, again, this is just super early development, not anything too scary yet. It's going to be a very interesting thing to have to help develop an actual way to make podcasts without worrying about constantly tripping over each other's words and without having to worry about the issues that we usually encounter.
So, if you guys want in or to give us feedback, you can do it at forums.team84official.com. Or if you want to get into the closed beta during development, you can send us an email at inquiries@team84official.com. And now back onto the normal podcast. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 got announced after more than a handful of leaks, which has been interesting because there's been a lot of people who have been very much wanting this, but well, they finally announced it.
Some of these leaks weren't even like endorsed, even, or I shouldn't say some of these leaks not endorsed. That's a funny way to say it. But some of these were planned to have smaller releases about information. They just released a lot more than they should. So a lot of the device was just straight up put onto the internet before it was even announced, which was really funny. And it was not a very big secret that the Switch 2 is going to be another Switch, which I find it funny. Some people really didn't think it was going to be. They thought it'd be a whole entire new device. It is still a handheld little. It's a handheld device. It's going to be the same thing as the Switch 1 with some better hardware possibly, and with more features, but it's still going to be a Switch. It's a sequel to a device, kind of like how PlayStation still PlayStation, Xbox still an Xbox.
But okay, I have a question then. How much is it going to differ? Because from what has been rumored and possibly leaked, it's going to be using outdated technology, at least compared to today's standards, being 2025 now. I hear it's going to be using over 4-year-old hardware technology, possibly the same operating system, which the operating system isn't that bad if true. The Xbox World Series X did it just fine.
From what I've 5 years now, I believe, because it is 2025. I believe it was 2018 technology. It is probably still going to be an upgrade, considering that the original Switch was very underpowered to handle the fact that it's very thin and small. However, I believe the best handheld device, in my opinion, I'm gonna excuse the Steam Deck because that's pretty much just computer that you can
Steam
hold.
Deck is goated.
I believe so. I've not used it, but I kind of want one. Was the PSP is my personal favorite out of most handheld devices, excluding the ones that are just PCs that you can hold. Because the PSP had a lot of fun games on it.
One of my favorites was the Steam Deck. The PSP though was really good, especially for its generation, because how the PSP worked is like basically a portable PlayStation. What was it, 3 at that point? The UMDs it had, which was like the very small type of discs. A lot of kids opened those, thinking that you could. No, it wasn't. Kids are stupid, but the PSP was really good for its generation. Very slow though, at least compared to nowadays. But back then, that was actually innovative.
I used to have a PSP and I loved it. There was a big issue with the discs because of how the cases were built. They were really easy just to fall apart even on their own. So a lot of times there was a not a lot of times, but there was a way to you could send it to them and they would replace the case for free because they wanted to prevent disc scratching, I believe it was. So if you look on the back, there's only a small part that you can even touch the disc on, but the case around it would often break. It was basically a mix between a cartridge and an actual disc, like kind of like a mix between a I don't know how to exactly word it, but the little things you put the games on for some devices, such as a Game Boy or a Switch, as we were just talking about, mixed with the disc. It was an interesting mix between the two, and it was really really nice. However, with all this new technology that comes with it, there also is the issue of battery life, and it is kind of hard to know for sure right now. They're saying that there might be some better battery life. I think there might be some worse ones for some of them because it is going to be harder technology on the actual device itself.
Yeah, but depending on the technology they use, technology has advanced to the point they might be able to squeeze out some better battery life, especially by doing some like jiggering with the CPU and clock speeds, because they might be able to underclock or something like that and get better battery life while the hardware itself remains more powerful to be able to handle all of that. It's I don't know. It honestly myself, the only thing I've really seen people excited about is better Fortnite. Yeah, better Fortnite gameplay being better hardware because the game sucks on Switch, to be honest. But we will see how that all pans out.
Despite the nervous ends we have for some of these, we are actually going really fluidly using this already, which I find really funny.
It's actually been helpful.
Oh,
I
very much so. We stopped using it for 2 seconds and we've already cut each other off.
I mean normal conversation flow is good. I'm just saying. You don't have to use it 24/7.
Yeah, I mean, this is just for the podcast. It's just funny that we stopped using it for a second and we already cut each other off.
It's the Switch 2 is yeah. I myself am not really excited, but the implications are interesting.
All right. One last thing about the Switch 2, the little tracking Joy-Cons might be able to use as a mouse. Let's get back to using the Let Me Talk because it seems to be working actually pretty well.
So my opinion on that is it's not gonna be a good mouse, but it would be a mouse. That's all I have to say. Just it would be definitely total a mouse of some type. Not a good one, but that what do you need custom drivers or software for it to work?
So both the mouse being good, I don't think it's gonna be good because it's gonna be tiny, thin, rail thin mouse. Unless they have like a little extension that you can put on the bottom, that you can like clip it into just to drag it better. It is just gonna be a little razor thin mouse. So I think they would have to have some sort of little platform to be put into for as a little gadget. On to our next subject, though, to get off the Switch 2, is the TikTok ban.
I have a lot to say about this because the implications, like the platform or not, the implications of this is just horrible because this is giving the government power to ban just because something is foreign. You know how bad it would be if like Canada banned Facebook and said that Facebook had to sell to a Canadian company. That would not end out well. This is the equivalent. It's on a different scale. It's different, but it's also just I feel equivalent to saying something like that. But they announced that the ban was gonna happen. Then they quickly moved. Well, not quickly, but they did move within 24 hours to say it's coming back. However, in between that time, Donald Trump, the president of that's gonna be coming up here soon on Monday, I think, is supposed to find a way to try to get it to stay. His official statement was, let me pull it up here. Trump said on his platform Truth Social, I'm asking companies to not let TikTok stay dark. I will issue an executive order on Monday to extend the period of time before the law's prohibition takes place, and so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. The order also confirms that there will be no liability for any company that has helped keep TikTok from going dark. Americans deserve to see our existing inauguration on Monday, as well as other events and conversations. I would like the United States to have a 50% ownership position in the joint venture. By doing this, we save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up. Without US approval, there is no TikTok. With our approval, it is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe trillions. Therefore, my initial thought is a joint venture between the current owners and or owners whereby the US gets 50% ownership in a joint venture set up between the US and whichever purchase we so choose.
I have a couple comments on that. First of all, if the USA were to own 50%, that would make it so that the USA would earn usually around half as much as they would earn, right? So thus, it'd be trying to get America to get a lot of the profit for something they didn't make. Just saying. I also want to say, for anyone wondering why it'd be banned, the original reason is the threat of Chinese propaganda making it into America, which is a big thing I get really confused by sometimes because every single country uses massive amounts of propaganda. America does it to other countries, and in fact, there was a slight change to the bill apparently allowing it, and I'm going to say this is alleged just because I
Allegedly.
haven't been able to find too many stories. Yes, allegedly. I haven't been able to find a super ton of information, but I found some information on this. Allegedly, they have added some changes to the documents to allow certain parts of the government to have access to it to spread American propaganda. Thus, doing the exact same thing we're doing, we're going to keep some people to do that, which is the exact thing we're banning them for. That was a horrible way to put it. Basically, we're banning them for something that we're going to be doing exclusively.
And
And I just find that funny.
it's yeah, no, please don't. You know. Okay, I stole the floor from you. I'm sorry. But there's something else that pisses me off about this is it just gives the government to say where people can talk and what servers people can talk on. It's saying if it's not American, we don't need it. Which is just a horrible way to think about it, but
If you want a super American way to view it, think of it like this: America's powered by the people. The people, in this case, want to be able to use a platform they think can let them express themselves. And the government is saying, hey, you, the people, are no longer allowed to use that despite it being what you want. Therefore, the government is overstepping, where I believe they're overstepping, at least, that's my opinion. They're overstepping and preventing the people which is what the power for our government is supposed to be based on, and taking it away from them. They're taking away the people's power to access what is not I wouldn't deem an overwhelming threat currently. And one more thing, with the ban of TikTok, there are other Chinese social medias allowed in America that are being flooded with Americans doing American trends that are making China a little bit more upset because those are more Chinese oriented and don't even have an American option to them. So it's becoming a very big issue for a lot of other social medias that wouldn't have this level of flooding happening to them.
Like Red Note, which I'm pretty sure has been confirmed to be spyware, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Also, the ban is, funnily enough, affecting video game Marvel Rivals, which I find just hilarious, first of all. And there's a lot of the people who voted for the ban said that one of the best alternatives people can use is Facebook, and Instagram. And funnily enough, conveniently, a lot of the people who voted to ban TikTok have a stake in Facebook and Instagram. So I'm just seeing a conflict of interest with this ban, and especially with how quickly it was pushed through.
Wouldn't be the first time. This has happened actually quite a few times, especially with I'm just going to say, former politician has had a very similar instance happen to them. They were going for presidency but didn't make it. I'll just leave it as that. But one of the points I was going to make about how the social medias or flooding different social medias can be different and can annoy people is the New York to Ireland portal, if anyone remembers that. The issue of there are yes, I believe people around the world can communicate and have a fun time together. It does not matter who they are, where they came from. But showing or forcing a bunch of people into a room without giving them time or the ability to merge leads to a lot of issues. Like with TikTok, there was a lot of ways to implement multiple languages, multiple cultures. There was a way to actually do that. I don't personally like the platform I don't like the content on there as much, but I believe it is a good thing overall. It helps people work together. But things that might not be made for that won't have the same positive output. I mean, it's like there are some things on certain platforms that are able to work better, some things that are benefiting from each and everything. But by demolishing a major one that's meant for a lot of these combined things, you are just trying to send everyone to much less. Uh, yeah,
They're trying to send people to alternative platforms that are just worse, right?
not designated for that purpose.
Yeah, like the Americans going to a Mandarin focused app, which allegedly there was this one guy who everyone just kind of said was the CEO and everyone ran with it, even though he was not. And he was very surprised by that, which I found funny. America is cooked at this point. But another thing is Trump announced that he was saving it through his own platform, Truth Social, which I'm sorry, please go back to Twitter. You got unbanned. I don't want to have to. I'm not following you on your app. I'm not making an account. Just go back to Twitter like a normal person, okay?
Oh, speaking of which, he made in his own words, a meme coin about himself, which is interesting.
Scam.
So just saying there's a possibility that there might be a pump and dump with something referred to as a meme coin, which is usually what these are pump and dumps. Just saying. And kind of move on to the next point since we did talk about mostly all of these in a little bit. If you want to finish it up, you can.
One more thing I had, or a few more things I had to say about this is Biden brought in and signed off on the TikTok ban. Then he backtracked on that kind of by saying he's not going to enforce it. and that it's up to Trump to enforce if he wants to, which I think is hypocritical, which also Trump is hypocritical, because he's the one who started this entire thing with trying to get them banned. But now he's trying to save it and look like a hero and get the praise, when really he's the one who started it. So no, you do not get the credit. You're just trying to backtrack on what you started.
I think it's just for the money making aspect for America, the whole 50% owned, which also gives America 50% of the company, which in a lot of cases will give them a lot of control. Just saying. I do want to make us, or do you want to have something really quickly? Is this about the
Continue.
current subject?
Continue.
This is about the current subject. I'm about to transfer off, so if you want to say anything else with the subject, go right ahead.
Yeah, it was about this current subject.
All right.
Another thing about Truth Social, it requires a phone number. It shouldn't do that. That is a privacy invasion. And also, when you open the TikTok right now, you get a pop-up saying, "Thank you for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the US. You can continue to create, share, and discover all things you love on TikTok." Which, TikTok, please stop praising him. He's the one who started this. I don't remember exactly what the term is for falling in love with a captor, but I feel that is what's going on right now.
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, that.
Now to get into our next point, I want to say first of all, I find it really funny
And
that
it's
Trump's completely stopped talking on Twitter right around the time Elon got the maximum amount of control he could on the site. Speaking of our friend Elon, friend in quotes,
this segment is alleged.
very much so, even though there is some pictures of said things on his own platform,
But
still alleged.
for our safety, this is allegedly. Put sparkles around that word.
A Elon happened to be streaming a game that is fairly new from what I know, called Path of Exile 2. I personally didn't like the first game so much, but the second game looks really fun. While playing the game, he didn't seem to know anything about the game, despite having an account that would be a lot of hours in and have a lot of content. That would be, or not a lot of content, but he'd be a lot of hours in and would know the basics of the game, which he would have to interact with a bunch of times. And I've seen a couple of YouTubers who've played the game break it down and explain these situations. Like, for instance, he doesn't understand the maps, which are a very basic part of the game. He doesn't understand that the levels don't seem to matter when it comes to equipment, which is something that is a super early on lesson that is basically taught to the player. And he has some of the best gear, which is super underleveled, which he keeps saying he just needs to get a higher level version of, when a lot of them are tied to a specific level and cannot level up. When a certain YouTuber, Asmongold, went and made an entire video about this, Elon allegedly leaked some DMs and made a claim that Asmongold's editors were his bosses, which would make not a lot of sense if it was true. And when he got called out, Elon allegedly took away a check mark and called them bad at games, which is funny because Asmongold does have achievements in gaming.
Allegedly, also, he was online leveling up while on business trips and meetings and while at work. Allegedly, he was doing all of that at the same time, somehow.
I do have one thing to say. Seeing him play games makes me always wonder, what would happen if we watch him play a game from start to finish? I mean, yes, he streams, from what I've seen very rarely in some very few games.
Mainly to
I know he doesn't
test
have
Twitter.
yes, mainly to test Twitter's streaming service. But I want to see him play a game from start to finish. Something that's takes his little brain power. Like maybe he can play a puzzle game like Portal. I mean, yes, he chooses things like Diablo style games, and I actually pulled up a podcast segment before this. He likes hero shooters, which I find really interesting. That seems to be the only thing he really recommends is hero shooters and Diablo style games. Of which I like Diablo style games. I don't really like hero shooters, but to each their own. I just find it funny those are the only two he plays.
TF2
He just
goated.
he should play TF2. He should play a lot of TF2.
Some games that he should play. Talk about it.
I wasn't finished with my point. Before that, I was gonna say we did see him try to show some some of his style of playing games when he showed screenshots of him playing. I believe it was Elden Ring, and his amazing build, of which was made of very interesting choices. And was kind of roasted alive on Reddit, which is a place that typically happens on. But I'm just gonna say it was very fun to watch people look at his build and get really confused. I'm not gonna make fun of it though, because if it is his first Souls game, which I'm gonna, even if he says it isn't, I believe it would be. I wouldn't doubt he has no clue what the heck he's leveling, what the purposes of those things are, because that is, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Souls games are hard. I do have some games to recommend to him though. As I was saying, Portal is a good puzzle game. Grocery Store Simulator is a fun game that I believe you'd love playing. It's the perfect Diablo style game, but first person instead. And instead of collecting a bunch of loot, you collect groceries that you buy on your little computer, and you put them on the shelves, which your customers, like the bosses, but except instead of fighting them, you have to make them buy things by just sitting there and waiting for them to buy them. It's a unique experience. Totally not just a simulator game. Anyways, and Subnautica. I feel like a game that would be a little spooky would be some fun to watch him play, because he seems to like having a spooky place to play. Say, have you ever seen his one of the games he tried to stream with a really funny screen issue? He had a very dark room with a very large candle in it, I believe it was. And lastly, Borderlands, a game that is notoriously hard if you don't do the side quests. That I believe I would 100% love to watch him play, but I don't think he would do all those side quests. I just thought it'd be fun things to go off and do a little tyrant about.
Something I think that he should play is Barbie. Frame that.
Great character customization. Great, great colorful colors. Beautiful game.
The Sims seems like his type of game, also maybe.
Maybe.
Business Tycoon.
One subject I forgot to use the let me talk for a bit. That was just funny. One thing about that I'm happy about is I got my VHS to work, and I can watch Dragon Ball Z again, which I don't think I'm gonna watch a lot of because I just don't watch that much anime anymore. But I kind of want to watch a little Dragon Ball Z because there was some fun scenes in there. And I do want to. I think I might start with the Cell Saga again. I love that one. It's probably my favorite. If anyone has any recommendations, please tell me. If you want to see if I have that episode, I'll send it in the forums.
We used to have, when I was growing up, an entire drawer of VHSs filled to the literal top, and we had so much stuff. And my brother can even like remember what VHS we were watching back then based off the ads at the start. If that says anything about how much we watched them. I'm pretty sure I still have a VHS player or two in my closet. A lot of kids these days don't even know what the VHS is, which is kind of sad, but I get it. But it makes me feel old. VHS is the modern day floppy.
Growing up, I had I didn't have a VHS player. I had a VHS TV, and it had every time you turned on, there was static all over the screen that you could wipe off. I had an entire bookshelf of just Dragon Ball Z, and I had various other movies. I actually have like 4 boxes full to the top. Not even like small, like larger boxes full of Dragon Ball Z and other. I don't know why I keep saying Dragon Ball Z. I know that's what I grew up with, so I have a lot of them. But I have a lot of VHSs, and I love them. if actually I know a YouTuber who has the exact like TV I had. Is Moist Critical. If you ever watch his newer stuff, in the background there's a TV. That is the exact one I had, almost down to the thing. I played everything on that. I loved the warping of the TV screen. It was beautiful.
So like the old TVs that with the static, it was like a tube TV or whatever it was called. I
Yeah,
remember
I
we
wanted.
used you could put magnets and kind of like change the colors temporarily sometimes for those. It was really cool.
There's
So
a specific brand I'm thinking of.
I still have one of those old type of computer monitors in my closet. Actually,
There's
it's
like
sitting out there. It's sitting right there staring at me. It is. Oh, you know the YouTuber Germa 985.
yes, I don't watch him, but I know he is.
He had a his older stuff was good. Speaking of old stuff, that like his old stuff was good. The Rat movie,
Mm-hmm.
rats, where are the rats? If you guys know that, please let us know. I don't know how niche he actually was back then. I was watching him when it was him playing like Team Fortress 2 and stuff. That game was actually really goated.
From what I remember, he used to be a lot more like he before he transitioned into doing a lot more of the like what do you call it? I wouldn't call it a lot more of the instant gratification and excitement from loud noises and various other things like that. He used to actually do real like long form content from what I remember. That would be more focused on just regular content. I'm happy he found his I think the term is niche. No, that's the wrong thing. I'm glad he found his community the way he did. I'm happy for his success.
He
I'm just saying that it was interesting watching that or hearing about the differences.
Yeah. Okay, testing. Okay, they can go first, I think. Yep. I think that is us running out of our script. So I will thank you guys for watching us and listening to us. Follow us on Spotify, forums.tomatoforofficial.com, and
Wait, can I do a gag where I just read off like VHSs for 5 minutes, please?
sure.
Yay! Oh,
Uh,
let me
uh,
grab this. Let me grab this big box.
take control and let me talk, and I'm gonna mute myself.
Yay! Okay. Let me take off my headphones for about a second. Uh, 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 uh. All right, I'm back. I also have movies in here. I have stuff like. Let me list off some of these Dragon Ball Z ones. We have uh Majin Buu Revival, Fusion Losing Battle, Frieza Clash Uncut, Frieza Transformation, Frieza Revealed Uncut, Android Invasion, Perfect Cell, Hunt for 18 Uncut, Android Invincible, Majin Buu Emergence, Wallace and Gromit, Ma- uh, Matter of Loaf and Death, Dragon Ball: The Path to Power Uncut, Dragon Ball Season 2 Disc 2. I have a bunch of discs. I What's this? I have a sequel to the Aladdin movies that I don't think even made it to Disney Plus or any of the Disney stuff currently. The Return of Jafar. It's interesting to say the least. I have what are some of these old movies that aren't the Return or the Batman Legacy, Dragon Ball GT Generation, Dragon Ball Z the Tree of Might movie, Dragon Ball Z the movie, The World's Strongest. I should probably be listing off more VHSs than I am anything else because VHS is what the topic was. Move everything back so I can read out some more VHSs. More Dragon Ball Z, Kid Buu, Re- Regression, Great Saiyaman, Gohan Secret Uncut, Great Saiyaman, Declaration, Majin Buu Tactics. I think I have another one of those in here. There's a lot of copies. Ooh, these ones don't even have cases. What are these? Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge, featured edited. World Tournament Blackout edited. Imperfect Cell Discovery uncut. Cooler's Revenge. Interesting. Yeah, pretty much. That's about it. I have a ton of them, but I don't need to go on to much more of a rant than that.
All right. That was the VHS rant. Follow us on Spotify. You can find us on Twitter, Blue Sky, teammateforyourofficial.com, and we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Yay! Was that a funny bit?